Hey, St. John. Welcome to the Post-Sermon Podcast. I am Deaconess Dahlia, and with me today is Pastor Adam.
Hey, Deaconess.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing great. Okay, so this is a special episode today.
Around the Sermon episode.
Around the Sermon episode. Now, can you remind us, what is an Around the Sermon episode?
It just means off topic. We're not reviewing a sermon, but we got some other opportunity here for conversation.
So it's a post-sermon podcast minus the sermon.
Yes. So we had to come up with a way to make it off topic, so it's around the sermon.
Yes, and we have two special guests with us today. I'm very excited about this. We have Tyler and Katherine Martin.
Hello, hello.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And we brought them on because they're actually about to make the journey down to St. Louis and starting their time at the seminary. Tyler decided to begin his studies at the seminary to become a pastor. So we thought it would be cool to bring them on and talk to them about how they got to this point and what to expect and just all the things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a neat opportunity to send sons and daughters of the congregation to our different schools for church work. And this coming Sunday was at June 11th. We will have a sending for them. I think it's near the end of the service.
Why don't we go ahead and start with...
Can I cut in real quick?
Yeah, please.
Long-time listener. Every time I hear that "Hey St. John," it's always a little magical. And for everyone listening from home, it is just as much fun to be a part of this as you would expect it to be. So thank you guys so much for having us on today.
Oh, that's great. You're having a great time then so far.
So far. We'll see how it goes.
All right, so let's go ahead and start off with what led to your decision to attend the seminary. Why did you decide to pursue this route?
It's a pretty funny story. So I was walking one day outside, and I saw this shrub or this bush, you could say. It was on fire, and it told me to take off my tivas. And so when that happened, I kind of knew that maybe this is something I should be doing. No, but actually, it's funny because often...
Is that a kind of shoe?
Oh, it is. It's the shoes I'm wearing right now. It was holy ground. No, but so I feel like so often, like we're waiting for something like that. Like we're waiting for God to really kind of just smack us and say, you go do this. And so often in life, and especially in this experience too, I didn't really have that process. The desire to go to seminary was really something that started kind of as a whisper. Katherine was the first person I think to notice or to say, hey, have you ever thought about this? And I immediately shut her down and said, no way, I'm an attorney. I like to defend the big corporations and I'm really happy doing what I'm doing. But then that kind of planted I guess the Holy Spirit planted the seed, but Katherine was the means there.
Can I interrupt real quick?
Go ahead.
So then, Katherine, what made you say something to Tyler about that?
I guess ever since Tyler became an official member of St. John, or even in the new member class, I was just watching him soak up everything that he read, including, the Bible, everything about the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. And he was just so excited to learn about our church. And as I watched this process and as he became a new member, we just became more and more actively involved at St. John to the point where it was just everything that we wanted to do with our free time. And one day I realized that he just had the skills to be able to not only soak up all of that information, but share it with others. And that was kind of what I saw first. And it's grown since then, of course.
Which is hilarious because I did not see that in myself. So for me, it was, Katherine mentioned that, and it just kind of sat and grew, and I thought about it more, and I thought to myself, maybe this is something that I should consider. But, I hadn't been smacked by God. God hadn't shown up and set a bush on fire. And so then I just kind of thought about it and decided, maybe I should talk to Pastor Adam about it because I don't feel qualified to do this. We all think the pastor has to be on this extra high pedestal, and it's true that they are. You're very visible. Everything you do is very visible. So I thought to myself, I don't know if I'm a good enough Christian, if you will, to be a pastor, or I don't know if I could have all the right answers or say all the right things. There's no way that I could chant nearly as good as Pastor Adam chants. And so
You haven't heard me chant then.
no, I have.
I think you'll be fine.
But all of these things, just kind of grew and grew. Talked to Pastor Adam, and he was so encouraging. He was instantly positive and enthusiastic and said, this is a great thing to consider. He quieted all of those fears. And throughout this whole process, I started off unsure, but excited. And then I talked to Pastor Adam and got a little more excited. And then just the closer and closer we've gotten, things have just continued falling in line left and right. Things that I couldn't find a way past, things that were definitely going to, I can't go to seminary because of X, Y, Z. All of those things I've watched them fall down. And so that was the call process for me, knowing this quiet whisper, just slowly building and building and building into this wave of enthusiasm for moving with a baby halfway across the country so that I can go back to school.
Correction, the immediate call process, since you are just a seminarian and you haven't made it to the official call practice.
Right. Yeah. I nowhere near being a pastor. We have a very long road ahead of us.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember back to, we met up at Panera, right, for coffee one morning and to sit down and start to talk about these things. And what was it? Tyler and I went to a separate table for a while. And then I was more like, no, I want to talk to both of you together because you're all going if he's going kind of thing.
Yeah, we had this big debate before we met you for coffee that day about whether it should be just Tyler and Pastor Adam or whether I should be a part of it too. And Pastor Adam did talk to Tyler in the sidebar, as we like to refer to it now. But his early question was how I felt about it. And of course, I'm completely in support. And so I've been a part of the conversation ever since then, since we are all going into it together.
Yeah. And I remember definitely being excited about having a conversation about someone considering going to seminary. And maybe those who are maybe thinking about church work or seminary or other things like that, it's a process you kind of let happen. Maybe that's fair to say. There's no, they didn't sign a contract that day with me or anything like that to go to seminary. It's just, we'll kind of see what happens. And how long ago was that initial conversation at Panera?
I think it was about February of last year. I don't know why I still remember that, but we actually had started praying about it, about seminary, in November of 2021, and we agreed that we would just pray, just our family, for several months before we reached out to Pastor Adam about it. So then we reached out to Pastor Adam last February, and we've just kind of been continuing the process ever since then.
And it's funny, that day, I remember so vividly, you told us that, you're going to just keep going through the process, and eventually you're going to wake up one day and you're going to be at seminary. And you're like, how did I get here? And here we are. And one of the last stages of that process leading up to seminary. And it really has just been this ongoing discussion and everything just falling in line.
And one other part of the process has just been, constant prayer, of course, but also just waiting to see if this is definitely seeming like it's what God has planned for us. And we often said, well, we'll just get to the next step and see if God says no there. And there just hasn't been a no yet. So here we are about to move to seminary.
I think that's a good piece of advice for anyone thinking of church work, is just kind of see where it leads. And we have these processes in place to discern and have conversation and lead people into church work.
Right. And it doesn't just have to be people who are like in high school or college considering. I mean,
second career.
We're a lawyer, right? Second career. And I mean, maybe to a lot of people that just seems almost impossible to have to change careers and homes and all of that, but it very much is possible. And we saw that with James Burke as well, and now you guys. So I think that's really cool.
And I'll just add on to that. It does sometimes seem impossible for us too. It's not like it's, all just perfectly easy and going smoothly. It's difficult, but it's worth it. I think that action of responding to God is greater than the challenges that we're meeting along the way. But if there's someone out there considering it, then just realize that you're not alone in those challenges.
So what does Abby think of all this? She ready to go?
I think Abby's going to be really surprised when she wakes up in St. Louis in a couple of weeks.
Where am I?
She has gotten to the point where she finally recognizes our house. So we're going to have to train her to a whole new location.
But we are in the apartment on campus that has the playground directly behind it.
Oh, that's great.
What number are you in?
10D.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good spot.
Yeah, that's going to be prime time for Abby. She's going to be very excited.
And I think she's really excited to get to meet some new seminary babies too.
Yes, there's lots of children at the seminary, so that'll be great for her.
Yeah. So the St. Louis Seminary, they have dorms for single students. You can also live off campus, but there's also married housing. It's called the Woods. Is that whole community there of families in the married housing.
And it's this just entire massive community of all these Lutherans going through the process. And it's such a cool place. I remember the very first time we were there, this kid, he was probably 4 years old, just came up to shake hands and introduce himself. Like, where else do you find that other than the Woods at Concordia?
And if I was his mother, then I would probably not want him introducing himself to a stranger, but it is a really cool community that all the kids seem to really enjoy.
I thought he was a rock star, and Catherine was like, I can't believe he did that.
Okay, well, how about we talk about the application process to get into the seminary? What was that like?
Intensive. There's a lot to go through to get to where we are. And I think that all of that it's necessary and it's good, but it definitely does take a fair amount of work to get to this stage. So I know one of the first things that we did, we went and had our tour of Concordia, where you kind of fall in love with it because it's a gorgeous, gorgeous campus. And everyone in the admission office is great to work with and very encouraging and very positive about the process. But eventually, though, you do get down into the, like what requirements do we have to continue on this path toward MDiv. And so as part of that, they have a couple of tests that you have to take, a couple of thick textbooks that you have to work through, which especially as someone who's going to be going back to school is probably a good thing to kind of get back into that student study mindset.
Yeah, because you had to take these entrance exams, right? Was it Old Testament, New Testament, and doctrine?
That's right. Yeah, so Old Testament was especially difficult just because I feel like, no one spends that much time really getting into the nitty gritty of.
I remember that being the hardest of the exams.
It was so much harder than the New Testament. New Testament, it's the stories you grow up with, but Old Testament is like we're really going to talk about Obadiah for a while,
right? And I remember getting questions to the exam, tell us about Psalm 71. I'm like, I don't know. I know Psalm 23. I mean,
I bet it was a good one, but yeah,
it's inspired. Yeah,
everyone's got 23. Everyone's got. I mean, right before it, 22. 21, you got that core group, get to about 30, and then I start falling off a little bit. But it's getting really deep down into the Old Testament was tough, but very rewarding because I learned so much that I just did not know. And that was just to get in.
Yeah.
So really excited to see what else we pick up along the way.
Yeah, because I remember, right, at least in my day when I went to seminary.
The olden days.
Yeah, the olden days. They would also have entrance level classes. And so if you didn't pass your qualifiers, you would do the basic doctrine course, Old Testament, New Testament. And the whole point is they need to make sure everyone coming in is on the same baseline, and then they go from there. And so if you can pass those qualifiers, that's great. If not, there's another way to get admitted into the seminary. It just kind of delays when you are officially in. And we'll get to Greek later in the podcast, maybe near the end.
Not to scare anyone, though, because they want to make sure you've got those core competencies, but they don't want to exclude either. And so I know with those entrance tests, you have 3 chances to get in. You also have that ability to take a class if it's needed. And so that if anyone is thinking about going to seminary, don't let that be something that kind of puts you off of it.
And that's something that's just so cool about going through the seminary is everyone is there for the same purpose. I mean, you're not just at a university where everyone has all their different studies. Everyone's there for the same targeted purpose, to serve Christ and his church. And so there's just a great deal of camaraderie and teamwork, and we're going to run this race together. And if Greek is a struggle for you, I'm going to help you with that, and you're going to help me with this, and we're going to figure it out. And it's cool to see the church acting in such a cooperative way.
Well, I think you've mentioned before, not only is this going to be your core support group in school, but I mean, these are going to be a lot of your lifelong friends once you're actually out in the world. These are going to be the people that you fall back on when you need help.
Yeah, that 4-year-old someday is going to be an important 4-year-old in your life. You just don't know that yet. So you had the qualifiers. There's the application process. I had to write a recommendation letter for you. And there's just a number of hoops, and you're beginning a lot of hoop jumping. But maybe the bigger word that you're going to hear is that you are entering into formation. And you are being formed for ministry. Your family is being formed for ministry. And that is what I appreciate about the length of the application is it's just all supposed to help with the discernment of, is this the way to go? Is this the way to go? Because the last thing that anyone wants is to end up in ministry and realize I shouldn't be doing this. And the seminary doesn't want to produce pastors and deaconesses and church workers that don't want to be pastors and deaconesses and church workers. It does not benefit Christ Church. And so it's this ongoing conversation, if you will, of kind of, are you sure? Let's take the next step.
So I had a question I'm curious about with the application process. Now, Katherine, did you have to do anything? Like, I know later on at seminary, like both of you guys get interviewed as, I think, fourth year, right?
Even in vicarage, like Rachel and I sat down
vicarage.
with the director of vicarage. Yeah.
But before that, I don't know. Did they ask you anything or?
Yeah, I actually had to write my own essay for his application and did that like probably the week before Abby was born. And
you had to write an essay?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It wasn't that long, but it did require thought, of course. So I wrote an essay and then I was a part of that initial interview process too. So if the seminary candidate is already married, then they anticipate having the wife also join the conversation. And so we actually took Abby along to the interview too, and she slept through the whole thing, but we
I
had
miss those days.
She would not do that anymore, but we had the interview together.
Yeah, that was even just something in my recommendation. Like they asked about you as well, Katherine. I had to give some comment. And because it's not just the man that's being put into the pastoral office, his family is being put into a different place as well. And it's got to be all together as well. And the goal here is not to tear apart families, but to preserve these families too in ministry.
So they're just trying to make sure that you're supportive and on board and that kind of thing.
Yeah, mostly the question was like what I thought about Tyler going to seminary and also what concerns I might have about seminary. It was pretty basic, but yeah, they just want to make sure that the wife is supportive of this step.
So you applied, you took the entrance exams, and at some point they said, yes, you're accepted. And I remember like checking in with you like for weeks on end, like, have you heard? And
I know. I was so nervous. I was just thinking to myself, oh man, like it's been a week, it's been 2 weeks, it's been 3 weeks. Like surely I'm not going to get in. It was very, very stressful for a while.
So how long did you have to wait?
I waited a couple of months.
He applied in September and we heard actually in February. It happened to be exactly 5 years after we started dating was the day that he heard that he was accepted to seminary.
But I will say in the admissions office defense though, thanks be to God, this is going to be one of the largest classes that the seminary has had in recent memory. So a very, very busy office over the last couple of months, I'm sure.
Yeah, I heard some of that it's a very large class coming in, and that's super exciting to hear. And the church needs pastors. The church needs church workers.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be, already when we've visited most recently, when was that, Katherine?
We visited in February.
So in February, they had an idea of how large the class was going to be. And there was a little bit of like, I don't want to sound dramatic with it, but maybe electricity on campus. They were very excited about the size of the incoming group and what that was going to do for the community.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's talk about summer Greek. You brought that up a minute ago. So when you guys arrive, you're actually not going to be starting in the fall. You're starting like the summer, right?
That's right. Yeah. So we are going to be moving on a Saturday, and then the very next Monday, I'm going to be sitting down for my first Greek lesson, which I am very nervous about. I hardly speak English. I had to take Spanish. I cannot speak Spanish. So this is going to be a real adventure this summer. So we will, luckily though, Pastor Adam has told me that he will be there to help as needed, which is going to be probably often. So very excited to have him because he's a master of Greek.
That is not true,
Well,
but I
not
can
true,
at least
but-
help you with Greek. Yeah. So summer Greek is a sort of rite of passage for those who don't come in with their languages. I mean, you arrive in hot, humid St. Louis, and you are there for, is it 7 weeks, 10 weeks?
10 weeks.
Yeah, it's back to 10 weeks. Good. I heard they try to crunch it down to 7 weeks, which sounds, I think James went through that. That sounds awful.
So is it 4 days, 5 days a week?
10 weeks is tough.
I think it is 5 days a week. Yeah. Some days we meet twice. I did look at the calendar, and they currently show us meeting.
Sundays or some days?
Oh, sorry.
Some
Some
days.
days. 3 days. 3 days.
There's no day of rest at the Sem.
We meet every single day. So we're not joking around here. We're really going to be learning Greek.
How many, sorry, I'm just super curious about this class. How many hours in the morning is it? Is it like all morning or?
So it's just on the days that you just have morning sessions, just a few hours, and then I think on the days where there are afternoon sessions, it's 1 hour in the afternoon, maybe 3 hours in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. So not too intensive every day, but our meeting every day. But I do want to say real quick, Pastor Adam says he's not a Greek master, but when I went to visit seminary for the first time, the guys in the admissions office knew Pastor Adam and were extremely complimentary of how good he was at Greek. So
There's some classmates of mine, and they were being really nice to you. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah.
That's great.
Why is this also part of the core competencies? Why do we care about our pastors knowing Greek and Hebrew? It's the Bible is written in these languages, and we are to be preachers of the word and ministers of the word. And so in our sermon preparation Bible study, it's good to read the word as the Spirit inspired the human authors to write it down in those languages. And there's something really beautiful about each language. And so will find one you like one over the other. I really strive to like both for their, each language is cool in its own right.
yeah, I got my copy. I received it today, actually, that New Testament in Greek. I opened it up. I'm not sure what I was expecting to get out of it, but I opened it up, looked at a couple of pages, and said, okay, guess I'm going to be learning that one day, closed it back up, back on the shelf. So well, hopefully we'll get there.
So at the seminary, Tyler's at the end of his 10 weeks. So imagine, 11, 12 weeks from now, he has gotten through Greek. He's passed his Greek exam.
A+.
Hopefully. Just passing is good enough for us.
Near the front of the campus by the library is this huge fountain area. It's kind of this pool of water and a fountain in the middle. And there's a tradition at the St. Louis Seminary that the guys who pass summer Greek, they get to jump into the fountain, which I am told is quite refreshing after a hot, humid summer of Greek. And so, maybe if you can get us some pictures or something of the fountain jump, that'd be awesome.
That the light at the end of the tunnel is getting to jump into the fountain. So we will be looking forward to that 10 weeks from next week.
Okay, so after summer Greek is over and you jump into the fountain, then the fall starts up.
You come out of the fountain?
You come out of the fountain. You don't stay in there. Right. Besides classes, you also will be starting fieldwork. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So I am one of the lucky few, actually. I already know my fieldwork church. I'm going to be at Resurrection down in Sappington. Does anyone know if I'm pronouncing that correctly? I think it's Sappington.
I don't know. And it's Pastor Grunwald, right?
It is.
Yeah, awesome guy.
Yeah, I watched a couple of his sermons. I'm really excited to be there. But so we've got this kind of early knowledge because Abby is going to be going to daycare there. So we're going to be able to be at the church where Abby's already going to be and have that connection with the congregation, which we're really excited about.
That's so cool. And for fieldwork, is that typically like once a week where you'll be helping out? Or maybe you don't know at this point.
That's a great question. Pastor Adam might remember that.
Right. And so this is the interesting balance. Like you have most of your time is spent in the classroom and coursework. And then on the weekend, you'll help at your field ed congregation and just to get you some practical experience. And so, typically it was just on Sundays, you're down at your field ed church and you start off kind of slow and then they start bringing you into the service and you help with readings and leading service, maybe Bible study. And especially once you get through your preaching classes, they'll start.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
When he's going to preach for the first time.
Yeah. I've been asking our new vicars each time, how many times have you preached before coming here? And that just helps give me a little bit of baseline what their fieldwork experience is like and just some of the initial. So how we're going to work with the vicar as they get here because they're going to preach a whole lot more here.
But you have to complete a homiletics class first then.
Right.
Okay.
There's like you get your license to preach. And it was like a thing in chapel one day. I mean, you don't get like a card, but like you get like license.
I wanted to be a card carrying member.
No, it's nothing. I didn't get anything like that. But yeah, but the idea with field work is to give you some practical experience as much as you can in the midst of full-time coursework. And then of course that's going to flip with the vicarage where you're just in the parish the whole time and the academics take a lot of a step back. And I think that's a really nice experience of letting the seminary years be this time of formation, of study and growth, and trying to learn how do I maintain continuing to grow when I am in the parish setting, when it's not that I can be in my Greek textbook for 3 hours a day, but how do I still grow in my understanding, grow in the faith as we care for congregations and people. And that's going to be a nice conversation and dynamic to have with yourselves. Also just balancing family time and all your other vocations and responsibilities as well. Like it's good that they're going to push you in these ways so you are engaging with these realities all along.
So when you start classes and you guys are moved in St. Louis, Katherine, are you still continuing work as a lawyer in St. Louis?
Yes, actually, this is another way that God's just continued to be with us throughout this whole process. And I'm actually going to be able to keep my current job with my current firm here in Columbus, but be working remotely for them. So I'll be working full time and hopefully also getting to audit a couple classes here and there at seminary because they let seminary wives do that. And I'm really excited about the prospect of jumping in on a couple classes.
Make sure you show up Tyler in class. That'd be really good to do.
Oh, no doubt. That's going to be a given.
I mean, I did it in law school, so I can do it again.
Yeah. She already understands mediate versus immediate calls. So
that is true. She did correct you. Yeah. So when you get to audit these classes, is it just in any of them that you want to take, or do they have like specific ones that are more like geared towards pastors' wives, or maybe you're not sure? Or
I don't really know for sure. I think that it depends on the professor.
It's the real courses.
Okay.
You just get to audit and sit in.
So just pretty much
anything I'm interested in, as long as I ask the professor and he says it's okay, then okay. I think I'm good to go.
That's so cool.
Obviously hopping in on some Dr. Bierman classes.
Definitely. Okay, here's another question for you guys. What are you most looking forward to in seminary?
For me, it's really a tough one because on the one hand, I'm really, really excited about the academic side of it. Like I enjoy being a student, and I love geeking out over theology. Pastor Adam has helped me down that path a little bit over the past year and a half, 2 years. But I'm really, really excited to just dive into the material. But then kind of have this conflict because at the same time, like the reason that I'm doing all of this is that I want to be a pastor. And so as excited as I am about these first 2 years, like I really can't wait to get to the vicarage where I actually get to try out some of the things that I've been learning and get to experience what it's like to be, a part of church work and to be in that harvest field. And so as excited as I am about being able to go to school and learn about just such a cool topic, I am really, really looking forward to finding out where I'm going to be that third year and getting to go to that vicarage.
Oh, I think what I'm most looking forward to is the community there at Concordia St. Louis. I remember in our premarital counseling with Pastor Adam, we actually watched some Dr. Bierman classes as part of that counseling. And I remember looking at Tyler and saying, how cool would it be to live in St. Louis and get to be surrounded by all these professors and other LCMS individuals. And here we are years later, never anticipating that we'd be in this position, but here we are and we're going to be surrounded by all those people. So I'm looking forward to auditing the classes and just learning so much from these people in this spiritual watering ground that I think will be Concordia for the next couple of years.
What I'm least looking forward to is moving 4 times in 4 years. But right. I mean, we could, by the time we're done with that though, we could probably have like a pretty good moving side hustle if we wanted to become professional movers. So
I remember after we settled here at St. John, it took a little while. Rachel and I were like, well, we don't need these boxes we reused. We would just hold on to them. And we finally got rid of our moving boxes. They've been, and they're labeled different things. And these are the kitchen. And it just, and we actually got to just be done with the boxes.
I'm curious, did you guys just move around a couple of rooms every once in a while just to scratch that moving itch?
I mean, we do like rearrange the family room every few months because, gotta do something like that.
Did it feel weird though? Like after the first year at St. John, like, oh, I feel like I need to move, or you know what I mean? Because you've done it so many times.
No, it certainly did. And just to realize like, we're here. We get to serve. And this was the end result of that journey through seminary.
So what can we be praying about for you guys? Like just St. John in general, like what can we pray about for you guys?
One I have in the immediate future is just a smooth transition. Moving with a baby a couple of states over, it's not going to be very easy. And especially one of my biggest concerns, aside from Greek, which keeps me awake day and night, is that transition for Abby and getting used to a new place and getting used to, I've been blessed to be able to be home with her for the last couple of months, which has been amazing. But so she's going to be getting used to new people and new things. And so that's one of the big ones, at least in the immediate future for us.
I think I would say pray that God continues to use this formation process for his good, and that we can just grow as a family and be prepared for the mission work after seminary.
Long term, that I will one day be a good pastor.
Well, I know we will definitely keep you guys in our prayers, both, I think personally, and then also Sunday mornings as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to when you guys do visit and come back and we get to catch up a little bit and have you join us for worship and just to see where you're at. And we'll be watching on vicarage placement and call day. And
maybe we'll have another podcast episode with you guys. It'd be exciting.
An update. That one will be all in Greek, right?
Well, I know one other thing I'd really like to say is just thank you to everyone at St. John for not only the support that I know you're going to be giving us in the future with prayers, but also just this wonderful time that we've had here in the past couple of years. It's just been truly life-changing to be surrounded by all of our brothers and sisters in Christ and to be nurturing our faith with all of you. And we're really, really going to miss that.
This community has been so incredibly supportive of us throughout this entire process. And it sounds cheesy, but I don't know if we would be where we are today if it wasn't for the St. John congregation. And one of my biggest disappointments throughout this process was learning that there was no chance I'd be able to come back to St. John for my vicarage.
Yeah, they don't let you do that. No. Deaconess, is there anything else to really talk about?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. So hopefully this episode comes out before Sunday, and this coming Sunday, June 11th, we're going to have a farewell and ascending for the Martins in our both services. And blessings you guys as you make the transition to seminary in St. Louis, and you will be in our prayers, and we give thanks to God as he continues to send workers out into the harvest fields.
Well, thank you guys for joining us in this episode, and we look forward to the next time that we get to talk to you.
Yeah, this Around the Sermon episode. Guys, do you have anything else to say before we are done?
I just want to say thanks for having us. We've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's been so cool to be a part of this process.
All right. See y'all.
Bye, you guys. Take care.
Bye.
Just say bye.
Bye.